All right, we're back. This is episode 7 of Beyond the Skills podcast, and we have a special guest for you guys. We got a special guest. Her name is TERRICA Smith. We've been doing business together probably at least 5 years.
5-6 years.
5-6 years. She has an amazing story. She's actually here at my house. We're putting on an event here after this podcast. She's a featured speaker, and I want you guys to hear her story because I know bits and pieces of it, but I'm just as intrigued to hear your story as the audience is. So with that said, TERRICA, you're a pretty big deal. You might not. You're very humble, but I did some research on you. You're a pretty big deal. You've done a lot for somebody. You're a female.
Yeah.
That's one strike against you in the entrepreneurial world.
Right.
And you're a black girl, and you
Right.
came from very, very humble beginnings, and you have a story that is an amazing story of where you started to where you are now. And I want to know who is TERRICA and how she got to, where you came from and how you got to where you're at today. Because, it's really fascinating to see somebody do what you've done and be a female, because this is a man. This is a man sport.
It is.
This is a man sport.
Definitely a man sports. Yes. I done kicked a few testicles. I know. Yeah. But so first, hi, I'm TERRICA Lynn Smith. Thank you, Chris, so much for having me. Again, like I know you saying, I've done a lot, but you've done a lot as well, especially here in the community. Believe it or not, a lot of people look up to you, and what you and Patty have accomplished is amazing. So, again, to be here is an honor. To do business with you, to do life with you is an honor. So thank you again for having me. But my story is, I feel like kind of like most people, right? So I grew up very, very poor from New Orleans, Louisiana. My mother was a drug addict. My father was a drug addict. At the age of 5 years old, my mother sold me to a drug dealer. She needed to get a fix. And so, as you can imagine, being sexually abused at a very early age, I had identity issues. Like, I didn't know who TERRICA Lynn Smith was, or TERRICA Lynn Gilchrist at the time, right? And so I became this rebellious, angry all the time type of female, where people never really knew what was wrong with me. They would just categorize me as somebody who have a really bad attitude or whatever. And so they really didn't know, like, this person has really been through a lot. So I actually, after being sexually abused and ending up in foster care, I eventually ended up getting pregnant.
At what age?
I ended up pregnant at 16, had my son at 17. And so by the time I was 17 years old, I was homeless in New Orleans, and I lived under a bridge, the Claiborne Bridge, with my son. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so for me, up until that moment, I was a victim, right, Chris? And I had every reason to be a victim in my life. My mother, the way she was supposed to love me, she didn't. My father was never there. I ended up in the system. They sent me from pillar to post. I was always on runaway. I didn't have a safe haven. I didn't have what people call a home. So for me, up until that point, I was a victim. I was truly abandoned and alone as a child. I had to figure it out on my own. And so when I had my son Tariq and I was homeless up under the bridge, I could not use me being a victim anymore. Not knowing that this is what I was doing, I simply made him a promise. Right? People be like, how you just go from, all of that to this? It's because I had a life that was counting on me. So I made my son a promise, as long as I have air in my lungs, I'm going to fight for you. You'll never know what poverty is like. You'll never know what homelessness is like. You'll never be hungry like me. Like, you'll never know what this is. And so I fought like hell to get from up under that bridge, and it wasn't easy, I was on welfare, I was on food stamps, I was on Medicaid. I had every single government assistance available to me when I was living in New Orleans. And even right after New Orleans, because we were in New Orleans during Hurricane Katrina. So we was trapped in the city for 3 days. I didn't even know if we was gonna live. But by that time, I'm 19 and I got 2 kids. So I have my son and I have my daughter. I'm poor as hell. I realize our mayor has already left the city, sending us, notices on the news channel, letting us know we're gonna be okay. But he really okay. You know what I'm saying? And so it was a defining moment in my life that.
So just interject. So the odds are stacking more and more against you.
Yes.
More and more. Life's not getting better.
Hell. It's like pure D hell. Whenever Katrina came, I tell people all the time, I thought, like, I missed the rapture. Like, I was like, I'm going to hell. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this it, right? Because I didn't know everybody else was not going through this. Like,
this is 2005, 6?
August 2005.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, just going through that, I hated being poor. I was a have-not. And I came to Lafayette with a chip on my shoulder. I said, when another hurricane come, I will fly up out of here. I will be the first one flying up out of here, and I will not be trapped in the city again. My children would not experience this. So it's like every moment in my life, like at 5 years old, I had to fight, right? I had to fight the drug dealer. I had to fight my mother. I had to fight with my father. Going into foster care, I had to fight. Being a teenage mother, I had to fight. So I'm like, why wouldn't I continue to fight? Right? But in order of fighting against life, how about I fight for something that's more meaningful? And so my drive is not, it's not like what most people think, right? My drive, I don't have to think about it. Because of where I come from, I already know what's behind me. Like, I'm not going back to that.
Yeah. So TERRICA, this is absolutely amazing. And I love this story because I think you turned lemons into lemonade, and you going through all that stuff created this diamond of a person you've become. And you took trials and tribulations and turned them into massive, massive wins where, it's almost like this was a gift to experience those hard things because you hit such rock bottom, there was nowhere else to go.
Nowhere else to go.
And you see the opposite, because I like to study people and watch people. It's almost a curse also to have too much and be gifted by wealthy parents and given everything, because then how many parents give everything to their kids, and their kids just had all the opportunity and they just ruined it a lot right now, and especially all the wealth we've built in America. So I love to watch people that come up from the bottom, because it seems like there's a lot of entrepreneurial people like yourself that I watch and study that have a similar story. Drugs, depression, almost suicide, just all this stuff. And they turned it into this, like, okay, they turned their strengths or their struggles into strengths. Yeah. It seems like that's what you did.
Yeah. Not on purpose. I just needed to do something different. But I mean, that's exactly what it is. You take the struggle that you're in, and you just keep on fighting. And some people be like, how you so strong? Well, I didn't have a choice. There was no other choice. It's either be strong or you die. And I wasn't ready to die. So I just had to be strong.
That was a gift.
Yeah.
Because you knew you had hit such rock bottom, you had to come up.
That's right.
There was no choice. So you die. You just said it.
Yep.
That's a nugget, guys. If you're listening right there, that's a nugget. If you are listening to this and you're struggling, I don't think you can struggle more than Miss TERRICA right here. Like that's pretty the lowest of the low that you can get in life.
Right.
And you took that and just you became super resourceful. So you hit rock bottom. We know kind of your story. Let's go. Okay, now you're transitioning to, like, I had enough. I'm gonna survive. I'm gonna take care of my babies.
Yep.
What clicked in your head, and what did you do right?
Right. So I'll say this, right? Whenever I was a teenager, before I got pregnant with my oldest son, Tyreek, I would sell magazines from door to door. And I would always ask people in big, beautiful houses like the one I'm in right now, yo, what do you do for a living? And everybody be like, oh, I'm in real estate. And so it was always a mental note. I didn't know what real estate was, but it was always a mental note. So when I got to Lafayette, and I'm like, what can I do? Like, I want to make money. I want to be successful, right? I went to real estate school. I knew nothing about real estate. I failed that exam 7 times. I'm not going to even tell y'all how many times I took the broker exam, okay? Like, I thought, like, I would sit in class and I'd be like, excuse me, Bert would just look at me like I'm crazy. He'd be like, what is a lien? Bert, what is a mortgage? And he'd be like, we're going to get to that. Like, I knew nothing. I knew nothing about this foreign language. So imagine, right? I always say I understand what Harriet went through because of the simple fact she entered into a foreign land. She did not know how to read or write. I entered into Lafayette. It's a foreign land. I don't understand the language of real estate. I don't understand the language of wealth, but I understand the language of poverty and struggle. And I know that I needed something new to be able to get from where I'm at right now. And so because I understood I needed something new, I kept on pursuing and looking for something new. And that's how I ended up in real estate. I went to school for it.
Wow. So you went to school to become a realtor.
Yes.
Failed the test 7 times.
Yes.
Became a realtor, then you became a broker like 2 or 3 years later?
Well, let me just say about the journey, right? So this is why I'm grateful I'm street strong, Chris, right? I tell people, like, you can't break me because I'm street strong. Like, God just put something in me, right? But when I got in real estate, I remember selling my food stamps, which is illegal, so y'all don't do that, right? But I remember selling my food stamps and going to the Goodwill in Broussard, and I remember looking for the best outfit possible because I'm about to be interviewed by brokers, right? And so because I'm about to be interviewed by brokers, I'm like, I want them to accept me. Mind you, I'm a child of abandonment, so I have acceptance issues. So I put on my Sunday best and I go to the top company here in town, and my heart is beating uncontrollably. And the guy look at me, he walk in, I'm sitting here, he walk in, I go to reach my hand out to him and I say, how you doing? He pulled his hand back, he sat down in his chair, and he said, I don't think you'll be a good fit for our company. Now, mind you, I just failed this exam 7 times. Bruh, somebody gonna take me at their real estate company. And so I walked out that office, and for the first time in a long time, I put my head down, and I felt so discouraged, and I was crying, and I'm going back to the Mustang with my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, with my 2 kids in the back seat, and he like, so how did it go? Did they love you? You know, and I'm like, no. He told me I'm not a good fit for his company. And I was broken. And he said, Al said, well, TERRICA, you've been through worse. You've been told no before. You've never let that stop you. He said, we didn't sell all them food stamps for you to just quit right now. And I was like, you're right. So then I go to the next brokerage, Century 21, and I'll never forget this old white man, Jay Smith, walk in with a half a head of hair. And he look at me and he say, oh, we would love to have you here. And I just smiled ear to ear, like I just found my father. Like, you know what I'm saying? And when he got up, I went to go shake his hand. He went to hug me. And at that moment, he didn't know what I was lacking. He didn't know the rejection I went through. All he knew was that he accepted me in his arms, right? And so, I got my start there. I always say shout out to Jay, although as a brokerage, I didn't learn much, but he fulfilled that family boy that I needed during that time in my life. And then from there, I went on to be the office manager for a few other brokerages, and then I ended up opening my own brokerage. I went from selling $5,000 my first year in real estate to, being Century 21 top agent. So, a lot happened within that time. Again,
what year is this?
This was back in 2007, 2008.
Okay, 2007, 2008, the market's about to crash.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Market crashes. What happens? What are you doing when the market crashes in 2008?
Door knocking, boom, boom, boom.
This is before investing. This is still, you're still a
this
realtor.
Before,
yes. You have a progression here, guys.
Yes.
Like that we got,
Yes, it's layers.
I want y'all to hear the progression of the story because it gets better and better. So 2008 hits, market freezes up. There's like no deals.
Yep. So I'm door knocking, right? And so what I realized was that I'm in a market that everybody is fighting for buyers and sellers. So I'm like, what if I find investors? And I just focus on investors, right? And so I remember meeting my first investor at a gas station on accident because I didn't know no investors, but somebody was upset at somebody that was working at the store, and they wanted to see the manager. And so he came from the back and he was like, hey, I'm the owner. And I was like, oh, they own gas stations. He got money. So I told him, I said, let me work for you for free. Let me find you a property where you can make money, right? I'll do all the work on the property. and you just buy it. Now, at this time, I'm naive. I'm not knowing that I'm doing all this Hebrew labor for free, but it was my end, right? And so he was like, absolutely. So the cool thing about this is one person who has money knows another person who has money. And so then before long, I was known as the investor agent. So like agents from other companies would be like, yo, TERRICA, I got this property coming up. Do you want it? I'm like, absolutely. You know, I have a lot of investors now. And so I built that investor portfolio. And one day, Chris, I was at a closing table. I'll never forget. I was at a closing table.
What year is this?
Oh, probably
10?
like
2009, 10?
Maybe 11.
11, okay.
Right? I'm sitting at a closing table, and the attorney hands me a closing folder, and then he hands my investor the closing folder. Now, mind you, my investor only put money up. I did all the work, you know, my construction crew, the paint colors, the flooring, everything there every day working. And they gave me his folder, and it had 6 figures in there. And then I got my folder, and it had my 3% commission. I can't unsee what I seen. So I went to all my investors, including him, and I said, hey, I want to continue doing what we're doing, but I want 50%. He said, what make you think you have the right to ask for 50%? And I said, well, because I'm doing 50% of the work. You're just putting up money. And he was like, absolutely not. I want nothing to do with that. All my investors told me no. I lost all my investors except one. He said, you know what? I don't have the time. You take the 50%. I'm good. And so I worked with him, and then guess what? Rich people know rich people. He started telling his other buddies. So now when people come to me, they know they got to pay me 50% off the bat. So then that was how I got started into the actual investing part. And then 2012, I opened my brokerage.
2012, okay.
Yes. Then I opened Cachet. So because I left the other brokerage where I was their top performing agent and I was their manager, they were pissed. So they would destroy all my signs around town. They would spread all these lies about me. And now I'm like, oh my goodness, like I'm the poor girl from New Orleans. They gave me everything. I'm ungrateful, like all kind of stuff.
Wait, you had bad things said about you too?
Still. Still. And so, but again, I'm street strong. You cannot break somebody who is street strong. You cannot break somebody who has learned how to fight at an early age, you know? So back me in the corner and I'm coming out swinging. Straight up, you know? Yeah. And so, I mean, I could keep talking, but you want to ask me?
No, I'm making highlight. We're going to go over different things, but I want the audience to hear the story, and then we're going to come back to all these things I want to talk about that you've been saying. I'm making note.
Perfect.
2012, you started Cachet. You got your own brokerage. You pissed everybody off because you're shaking the trees and you're making everybody insecure because you're doing big things. Mm-hmm. That's all it is, guys. When you do big things, you will get attacked. That's an indicator that you're on the right track. Don't let anybody fool you.
That's right.
So 2012. You're getting some hate. Where we go from there? So
then me and my investors, so I formed this tight group of investors at this point. I'm like, guys, we need to get into building. So we built a few houses in Grand Point. We went over to Lafayette's. Then I wanted to start a subdivision. Funny story. You heard of La Petite Chateau? Mm-hmm. So that was originally my subdivision. I worked hard for that deal. But what happened was the two partners got into it over whatever reason. And because I was closer with another partner, I got canned. So all of the hard work, me negotiating with the sellers with that land on Fortune, me getting everybody to the closing table, me going to all the planning and zoning meetings, me meeting with all the engineers, all of it was just taken from me. And they started building and developing and put another realtor on it. And I was pissed. And so I said,
to list all the lots?
To the home builds, yes.
Your job was to list all the lots.
My job was so I was going to get 50%
of the profits of the neighborhood plus list the lots.
Yes, yes. So, but I waived all of my commission in regards to that because of the simple fact we was in business together. But the business agreement I had was not set up correctly because I didn't know anything, right? And he was able to get out of that agreement, but it left me salty. And so I said, you know what? Screw this. I am tired of fighting, trying to help other investors make money. Why don't I just try to make money for myself? Now, at this time, I didn't have anything. I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, I don't have no money. Like, me and my husband is struggling now, right? And so I had just got my tax return, and I got taxes. I got a $5,000 tax return, and I'm like, I'm going to use this to invest. Mind you, nobody in real estate know my struggle. They just see me keep showing up. They don't know I don't have no money in the bank. They don't know I'm sitting up fighting with my banker trying to reverse NSF fees and all of this. I just keep showing up, right? We driving around town in a Mustang and go, rrr. So it's like a siren every time we pull up somewhere, right? So in the midst of that, I take my $5,000 tax return. I get a $3,000 real estate commission. I buy my first property on Orange Street. We fixed that property up, almost ended up in a divorce with my husband because we realized we could not get along working together. So I'm like, you stay over here, I stay over here. You go in that room, I go in this room, right? And people like, how you put that house together with $3,000? Because I didn't have a choice. I didn't have no more money. I had $3,000. I went to Family Dollar and I bought their pill and stick flooring. People like, they don't sell flooring. I just did a video. They still sell flooring. You get what I'm saying? I went to Home Depot and Lowe's and I bought clearance paint. Like, we did everything we could to make everything fit in at $3,000. We had a plumbing leak. My husband watched YouTube and learned how to become a plumber. We just made it work with what we had. Like, we did it ugly. We did it scared. We did it dumb. We did it without enough knowledge. We just did it. And because we did it, because I was the servant who took that one bag of gold and I didn't bury it, I went out and multiplied it, then my wealth became pressed down, shaken, and runneth over. So I believe that a lot of people hold on and covet what they have as opposed to pressing down, shaking it, and multiplying it. And so for me, I think that's where my blessings come from, because I understand the value of multiplication and fighting.
Love it. This is amazing, guys. So now you're getting into, you develop in neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. Let's fast forward a few more years later. You're flipping houses too. You flipped the first house on Orange Street. How much you made on that first deal?
Oh, funny story. So I took that property to the bank. Shout out to my banker, Carrie, right? Y'all know Carrie, right?
Chopin?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's our banker too.
Yeah, right. Your banker, everybody, Carrie know everybody with the money, right? So anyway, I went to Carrie. I said, look, I am the least qualified person, right? I don't have the best credit. At this time it was like 550. And Carrie said, do you know how much business you sent the bank? We're going to take a chance on you. That man took a chance on me.
That's a nugget, guys, what she just said, because using smaller community banks, local, and developing a relationship like TERRICA did, you can't get away with that at a Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Chase Bank. They're going to laugh at you.
Wells Fargo, they don't care.
They don't, But using small community banks, that's why I use a bunch of small. We use about 4 or 5 of them and develop a relationship. That's great. So I'm sorry.
So he did that. And so he sent the appraisal out. It appraised for $60,000, my little huckleberry. They would do 80% of the value, which is $48,000. The biggest check I ever got in my life was $48,000 at that time. And baby, I thought I was rich. Okay. And so I'm like, oh, what I want to go buy. And then I was like, but this is $250,000 in more real estate. So I'm going to go buy more real estate. And I just kept building my portfolio from there. And then, you fast forward to where I'm at now, right? I have over 500 real estate investments. We have communities, we have complexes. We have a very extensive portfolio, but all of it started with one.
Getting that first deal and being resourceful.
The first one, yes.
Okay. That's amazing. So I've got a bunch of things I want to circle back that, the audience, I think I want to make sure you guys to really think about what this woman just said, because this is a wealth of knowledge for people that are just getting started, right?
Yeah.
Big takeaways. You are super resourceful, like so resourceful. You control the controllables. Mm-hmm. You don't ask for a handout. Like whatever you have right now, you make work.
That's right.
So this is huge, guys. Being resourceful, what you have today, like it ain't about what you can go get. It's like, what do you have right now? How can you maximize? You went to the store and got that peel and stick. Like you figured it out. You just figured it out. And you move. So that's a big key thing that you guys need to really think about, being resourceful. You're never going to become a big time entrepreneur. Me and Patty, I got a lot of similar stories, not nearly as bad as that, but I can relate to a lot of those things. You said you didn't have a choice. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. So that's another gift from the entrepreneurial guys. Yeah. Mm-hmm. When you ain't got a choice, you got to figure it out.
That's right.
And you put yourself in a corner.
Yep.
And all you guys watching, a lot of you guys follow me, y'all get so scared to even try to do anything because you worried it's not going to work out. put yourself in a position where you're gonna shit the bed, so to speak, if it doesn't work. Yep. And I guarantee you will figure it out.
Oh yeah.
Like you didn't have a choice.
None.
So how important is knowing rich people?
So,
because you said right here, rich people know rich people.
That's right.
Because I can relate to that.
Right.
I mean, you want to go make money, go find who's got the money.
That's right. So let me say this, right? I'm sitting in a multimillionaire house right now, right? It's important, right? Yeah. You know people, right? I know people, right? I think you're going to be as powerful as your circle.
100%.
You know, no offense to anybody, no matter where you're at in life, always look at it like this. And this is what I tell people. I have people that are where I come from. I mean, the gutter. I mean, New Orleans Project, Third Ward, Callio, Magnolia, Methamy. Don't make me get New Orleans, okay? I have that. I also have people that's on my level. Then I have people that I'm striving to be like. And so it keeps me looking up. So when I look down, I remember, I don't want to be there no more. Yep. When I look around, I'm like, this is cool, but I'm still trying to go here. If I'm trying to have $1 billion in real estate assets, I can't remain on a level with a few multimillionaires. Yep. I have to keep on climbing and getting in the right rooms and networking with people. There's people that's doing hedge funds and all of these larger type of portfolio accounts. I don't have the knowledge yet. It's a foreign language. So I have to get to that part of the territory, Chris, because I don't know that yet. You see what I'm saying? And so when you say how important it is to know rich people, it's important, but it's so much more important to know people that have the knowledge that you're seeking. That's what I was going to get
to, that you said knowledge, because you have to have the knowledge. Knowledge is more important because you will get to the rich people by getting the knowledge first. That's right. Because the rich people have the knowledge.
That's right.
Find the knowledge. That's why it's super important to keep skilling up, reading, mentors, coaching.
Investing in yourself, investing in a coach. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's so important.
The route and map and to rich people is through knowledge.
That's right.
Because they already went through the knowledge route. You know, most of it, it's so funny that people think that rich people are bad people. Yeah. Those people, and there's some rich bad people, and there's a lot of bad connotations about people trying to build wealth. They're greedy, they're this, they're that. I am of the notion that I think entrepreneurs are some of the highest quality people on the planet.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them are the most giving. They want to help people. I see it. I watch people like you. I watch other people. Like, you give because you want to give back, and you just keep getting blessings, right? But for people that don't understand about making money, building wealth, they think that it's bad, right? Society's kind of like almost trained us to think that building wealth is bad.
That's right. But if you think about it, right, and so I'm going to go spiritual because that's who I am, right?
Let's go, girl. I love it.
Yes, we are children of a king, right? I don't know no poor descendants of a king. Right. And I believe that ownership is our birthright because we are descendants of Abraham. And for us to be promised, the covenant that was promised to us was as far as our eyes can see is how much is ours. I don't know why we're not living in that. Right. It's wrong when you make it your God. Yeah. But I can help a whole lot more people with money than without.
That's right. TERRICA, would you say God wants you to be rich?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. God want us to, I believe, and this is such a great question, right? I believe people, and not just, let me say this. I believe rich is more than just what's in your bank account. I am rich in my marriage. I've been married going on 19 years. I love that man. That is my sexy baby daddy. You know what I'm saying? I love him. I'm rich within my children. I'm rich within my bank account. So I call myself a kingdom-made millionaire. That means everything I got has come from the kingdom because I have been obedient and I have been a good steward with everything that I've been blessed with. So that's why mine keep multiplying and pressing down and running over. It's because I've been that good daughter that God has called me to be. And being rich I feel is a direct connection to the covenant that God has entered us in with him.
So with that said, would you agree and say that building wealth and making money is a spiritual game also?
Yes, absolutely. 100%. Absolutely. It's very spiritual. But let me tell you something. Oh man, you're getting me started, right? Let me say this. You cannot dream and survive. You can't have fear and favor. Like, you see what I'm saying? When you have favor, God's hand is literally upon you. When you have fear, the devil's hand is literally upon you. Do you understand that those two are beefed out? Or let me give you a better term. They are fighting constantly. Mm-hmm. So you have to pick a side. Most people pick the side of fear, not knowing that they're siding with the enemy. Fear is not of God. Fear is of the devil. So as long as I know that I have favor, the enemy can't hold me back from what's rightfully mine, what's my birthright. But if we remain in fearful tactics, we're scared to make a move, we're scared to do this, we're scared to do that, then we're going to play sides with the enemy, and we're going to always be on the backseat of that.
You know what you got, TERRICA, that most people don't have? Because I can see it in myself that I watch it. You have unwavering faith.
Yeah.
And belief in yourself.
Yeah.
See it. Mm-hmm. Like you know you're going to make this shit work.
That's right.
And when you believe and you have that much faith, the spiritual factors start kicking in, because then God believes in you too, and he opens doors.
Yes.
If you move in this game of entrepreneurship with unwavering faith, doors open.
Yes.
Right? But if you move with doubt, you're doubting God.
That's right.
Because he's telling you can do it. So you got to move with such unwavering faith, guys, that you can't doubt the game, right? And I'm not going to say that you're not going to fail, but you're going to have more opportunities open up, and you're going to have things spiritual. I mean, me and my wife Patty have seen so many things open up our life, just some believing that's going to happen, putting it on paper, knowing like, hey, this is going to happen, and all of a sudden, like, strange things happen.
Wow.
And I know you know the same thing. There's no coincidence. Like, there's things in your life, TERRICA, that happen that is no possible way could have been a coincidence.
No, it's supernatural.
Supernatural.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's the perfect word for it. And my wife and I talk about this all the time. And I know that's happened to you, because there's no possible way a girl from the ghetto in New Orleans, a female and black, the odds are stacked so up against you for you to do what you've done.
Right.
That, like, it's magical.
God's living godly testimony.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for people that are watching, if you don't think you can do this,
oh yeah,
how can you get any worse than your situation?
Right. There
is nothing worse than your situation.
Right.
I didn't know it was that bad. I knew your story somewhat, but I didn't realize how bad it was. So, you know, this inspires me to realize that, hey, man, when I'm having a bad day, like, no, TERRICA had a really bad day, and she got to where she's at. So,
absolutely.
You know, I can really appreciate the honesty, and, you know, guys, if you understand the power of faith and will and willpower, you can get through anything. But TERRICA said, because I asked some really strategic questions here, your environment is everything. Everything. You cannot stay in an environment where you're being suppressed, you're doing drugs, you're being raped, you're doing this, and be successful. Nope, you cannot. It's not possible. Nope. So you have to understand that TERRICA extracted herself and said, hey, I'm better than this. I'm putting myself in an environment where I can win. And you just kept putting yourself in a situation where you can win, right? Yep. I kept on moving. I mean, I didn't know who I was going to meet. Like, I didn't have all of that mapped out. I didn't have A to Z, right? I just had A to B. Then I'll get to C. You know what I'm saying? Then I'll keep going. Like, I'm always like that. And so I think that's... But C opens up if you move to B. That's right. That's right. What people understand. They want to figure out C, D, E, and F. Yep. But they haven't made it to B yet. They realize if they just go to B, C will open up. That's right. C will open up. Then D, and then F. And it keeps going. It keeps on going. It keeps on going, yes. So, TERRICA, what makes you different that makes you have this kind of success? Because, you know, you probably have a better chance of getting struck by lightning to come from circumstances like you and be where you are today. Let's be real. Yeah. What makes you different? I mean, I told you what I thought made you different, you know, the unwavering faith and belief in you. You have a superpower, and that superpower to me is massive confidence. Yeah. Confidence is a superpower. Yeah. Would you say that? Oh, absolutely. It is definitely a superpower. What else is it? I want to know. I would say God's hand on my life and just believing that I'm favored by him. Like, there's no reason for me to go through that much hell that early on and, you know, be where I'm at right now. Like, there's a reason. I didn't understand in the beginning when it was happening to me, you know, but I look back at my life now and I said, my God, I am a living testimony
for those young girls that are struggling with addiction and abandonment and identity issues, who look like me, who's never seen a Black woman develop communities before. I believe that God's living hand is upon me, and I have to remain up under that hand.
Yep. I love it. And I've, so I've, just so I'm transparent with you guys, me and TERRICA, we went through a pretty rough deal recently.
Yes, we did.
Right?
We did.
And
I seen Patty turn into a firecracker.
Oh yeah, Patty, I had to calm her down. She was about to cut somebody, okay. But in business this happens, right?
Yes, that's right.
It happens, and I have to, admire you. You were super calm and collected the whole thing. You were so emotionless. You're like, no, we're gonna do this. It's gonna happen, and you just, we got through it.
Yeah.
We had to make it, put up a little bit of money.
I knew it was gonna win.
Yeah, you won. We all won. We got the deal done.
Yeah.
But I want to talk to the audience of how important it is to do the right thing.
That's right.
That's what I want.
Yes.
I want to make sure that, because bad shit happens to good people when you moving and shaking and doing deals, right? Me and TERRICA did a deal together where we got misled.
Yep.
We got, and I gotta say names on the podcast, but we got basically manipulated.
We dealt with
lied to
a fraud.
A fraud, yeah, a fraud. And basically, TERRICA and my wife got the rap for something that he lied about, and there was nothing we can do about.
Yep.
So, we had to come together. We had to put up a little bit of money. We had to threaten to sue, but it costs money to get the property back into your hand.
Yep.
But I always tell people, listen, when you winning, it's easy to be friends. It's easy to do this. The true character of somebody comes out when you start losing.
That's right.
How do you respond? And we saw the true character of what he did. He just threw all of us underneath the bus, and he, and he tried to, he literally tried to steal and defraud.
And what's sad is it's somebody that you have poured so much into, you have mentored, and that's the sickening
That
part.
is the sickening part. Yeah. Just to transparent, it was one of my students.
Yes.
It was one of my students. I ain't gonna say who he was, but I helped him make $600,000 on a deal.
And stabbed you in the back.
And stabbed in the back, and ended up, trying to double cross TERRICA and my wife because of a technicality that he left out on purpose.
Well, all because of his hate for me.
Yes. It stems from that too.
Somebody who I don't know.
Doesn't even know. Pure jealousy, right? Pure jealousy.
I wouldn't know him from a lineup or a can of beans. I don't know. But
I want to reiterate to you guys, in business, things are going to happen. If you keep doing, you got to put it in. I'm from South Louisiana, right? I used to forward drive pickups when I was a little boy. When things get rough, you got to put it in low gear, and you got to keep moving.
Yes.
No matter how hard it is to do the right thing, because it will work itself out.
Yes.
So with that said, TERRICA, I really appreciate you coming on here.
Chris, it's an honor. I'm excited to be here with you, buddy.
We have an event. We have a bunch of people showing up at the house. TERRICA's a featured speaker, and she's gonna give us some value and knowledge how we can do what she's doing. TERRICA, where can they follow you at, and tell us what you got going on?
Yeah, so follow me on Instagram and all social handles at Female Real Estate Guru, and or TERRICA LYNN Smith on all platforms. That's it.
Awesome. And just to recap on something, you said right now you're holding how many pieces of real estate? 600 and something? What'd you say?
Over 500. I mean, we're probably going to hit 1,000 this year. I have a few hundred under contract right now. So
wow.
Thanks for adding to the portfolio, Chris.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Awesome. Yep. All right, guys. Listen, if you like this, please give me a thumbs up, give me a like, give me a subscribe. Follow TERRICA. She gives out a ton of awesome information. And for you females, there's not too many females in the game.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that's doing at the level of TERRICA's doing, to be honest with you. If you're a female, you need to follow TERRICA. If you love the real estate game, she drops nuggets and she can show you what's possible. So download if you haven't downloaded. Follow me at Real Estate Rood on Instagram if it's your first time seeing me, Chris Rood Entrepreneur. Make sure you come to my next Allies meetup. We have the next one, March 22nd, 23rd in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. If you want to come to my local meetups here in Lafayette, Louisiana that we just started, The Alliance, the first one's tonight, inbox me on one of those platforms. We'll get you set up. And we want to grow with you. We want to keep on inspiring. It's all about, this is a team sport, guys. This is a team sport. Don't think you can do it by yourself. You need a team.
Yes.
Keep skilling up.